Hey everybody, how we doing? Mr. Hancock here. This is the video for week 3. This is going to be pretty quick. I just wanted to go over a couple things and introduce something different to you. Something you may have noticed under the course content, every unit will be a folder, and it will look like a yellow folder and everything that you've seen. Like for instance, I'll take you over there now and show you. Over here under course content, it's a folder. So when you click into it, you've noticed that in week 1 and week 2, they're folders as well, but now when you notice for week 3, it looks like a binder, I guess you could say. This is what we call a learning module, okay? And you notice it's not done yet. I'm doing this early so I can have this video ready for you when you do click into week 3. But you'll notice that it looks like a binder. This is called a learning module. And when I click into it right now, it looks like it does for me. But for you, you'll notice in there it'll have a table of contents now, and you have to go from one page to the next. So you have to click one, then click the next, then so on. It doesn't all populate right under each other, kind of like you see here. So just know that when you click into your week 3, if it looks a little bit different than this, obviously that's why. No worries. It just kind of helps you keep things in a little bit better order, okay? Okay, now we're moving into the further into the Middle Ages, down over further into Middle English, okay? This is this world of Chaucer and the Canterbury Tales, which we're not going to read right now. I want to focus on something maybe that you haven't read before. Probably not, but that's going to be Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Something that you'll notice as you read into the introduction is that during this time, even further at different times in English literature, that we have like a renaissance of the whole Arthurian legend, which is King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table in Camelot. First King of England and all stuff like that. So you'll notice that you'll start to get a lot of literature concerning in that time. And this happens periodically through English literature all the way up into, notably something like The Lady of Shalott and Morte d'Arthur with Tennyson and everything like that in the 19th century. So, this is something that's very common, and Sir Gawain and the Green Knight deals with that particularly, with Arthur and that whole idea of Camelot and so on, okay? So, going into that, I want to introduce you to a few points here. First, you'll notice here that you'll have a checklist, and then you'll have a web link for the introduction. I'll go into that in a second. Then here's the actual text for the reading. It's a little bit longer. It's not a poem, so it's going to be longer. Now, it's not a book or anything like that, but it is going to be a time, you're going to have to sit down and take some time to read this thing out. Now, right under that, I have about a 25-minute, it's pretty cool, like, I think it said 2002, it's going to look older, but just an animation, a cartoon of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and it's really cool. It really kind of puts a picture to it, and it shows it to you in a certain kind of light. So that's not required, obviously, but that can be something that's very helpful. I will say, though, don't skip the text and go straight to the video. The video will supplement and help the text. It will not replace the text, because when it comes time for you to do your discussion posts, when it comes time for your exams, the video is not what you're going to have to reference. You're going to have to reference the text itself, okay? So that's good and helpful. Excuse me. Now, let's go to the introduction. Like I said, this is going to be pretty quick. I wanted to show you some information when it comes to the Middle English here. So this right here is an introduction to Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And it gives you a little bit of history. It gives you some points that you need to be thinking about as you read this. Everybody, look, you're going to look at this and go, I don't want to read that. Read it, okay? It's a literature class. It's a reading class. Read it. Because what it's going to do is that when you do dig into Sir Gawain, it's going to make a lot of that make a lot more sense. It's going to come alive and make a whole lot more sense for you if you know what's going on here. Now, also, something I really want to push to you over here is if you look over here, it says also see love and chivalry in the Middle Ages. This is very important because this is where we get the idea of chivalry, where a man, a true man, acts a certain way towards a woman. This is something that was very, very important in Middle Ages, especially to knights. So let me say something about knights at the time. Knights are not what you would think they are according to Hollywood movies, where they come in with beautiful armor and they're very strong and courageous and they'll fight evil and everything like that. Knights were warriors. Knights were brutal, and they were born and trained. They were royalty, but their whole life was about training to kill and to fight and warfare, and that's what they did. They were very tough, very strong. very dirty in a way, just very rough and dangerous. And as a matter of fact, it got to the point where if there was no war for the knights to do their job, they would go make places to do their job. They would go get in trouble and everything like that. And that's when we start to see the code of chivalry come in, and just like a code of conduct for knights, and a certain way for knights to live, and a certain way for knights to behave, or else you're going to dishonor your point. And so it's very interesting to see that. And one particular part is in how you act towards a woman, and how you treat a woman, the ways you do not treat a woman, the ways you must treat a woman. So when you go into reading this, really pay attention to Sir Gawain and how he deals with chivalry, how he deals with the way he is supposed to treat a woman. It was very, very important. This is when also, if you notice, if you look in church history, you start to see where women, like the Virgin Mary and everything, and women are just put up high on a pedestal, almost to a point of worship in a way, and not just in the church, but all over in culture and everything like that. And so, really take a look at that. Keep that in mind as you go forward. But it's definitely about how a knight, how a man, especially a knight, should act, and what a knight should do, and what is a good man in that sense there, okay? So really pay attention to that. And it's really interesting to see the differences in the cultures. And now, today, is like, what's a man? How's a man supposed to act? How's a man supposed to treat a woman? All that kind of stuff. When you start to really think about that now, compared to then, really look at that. And this could be some really good information for you to help you with your journal entries and also your discussion boards, okay? So there you go. That was quick, 6-something minute video. Go into reading this here. Take a look at this Love and Chivalry in the Middle Ages. Take a look, and you can click further in this. It just gives you more information and context. And y'all, and that's one thing I want to mention. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about, a lot of folks don't want to read this stuff. It's very boring, and it takes a lot more work than they're willing to put into it. But the truth is that when you start to see things going on in the world today, when you start to see how people are in certain cultures and what they do, you can start to see a repeat in history in certain ways. You start to see that certain folks, maybe they don't know about history, or they haven't seen certain histories in a way. And so when we go back here and we study this old stuff, that we'll realize that there's nothing new under the sun. Everything everybody deals with today, the struggles, the internal, the human condition, everything at all is nothing new to the human. That humans have always dealt with that stuff and always had to try to process that stuff in their own way, in their own world at the time. So going back and studying this, not only do you read, you study history and see what people did and what they did that was good, what was bad, what didn't work out, what worked out, why they did certain things. It helps us learn how we can do things and how we can progress in our lives. But also, studying literature teaches you what it means to be a human, and how we, not just us, but people all over, have dealt with certain situations, regardless of cultures and time periods and countries and people and anything like that. And so it's very interesting. So really open up and pay attention to see how it works culturally, not just for us, but for them as well, okay? All right, y'all. That's it for now. Notice you don't see it here, but you'll have a week 3 discussion board post and a week 3 journal here, okay? The journal is going to be very wide open. I want you to take that thing wherever you want it to go. Start talking about today's culture one. That's always a good one, because that's really kind of what it's going to be about anyway, your topic. But don't be so rigid. Allow yourself to take it as far as you can, all right? Write a lot. I'm going to tell you now, write a lot. Treat it like a journal entry and a free write, and see where it takes your brain. We're looking at least 250 words. That's a good sized paragraph. So at least go for something like that, okay? And then in your discussion board, make sure you follow the rules for posting, okay? Go back and read those. Post 3 times, 1 initial, 2 responses. Each post is at least 10 sentences. Do your initial post by Thursday. Everything's due by Sunday night. Be respectful. No yes man stuff. That right there, okay? All right, y'all. We'll get this going, get this week done, then we'll review and finish up on week 4 next week, and that's when we'll have the exam. So don't forget, you do have an exam coming on the end of week 4, which is going to be like the 20th of September. So keep that in mind. Wait a minute. Yeah. Yes, 20th September. So keep that in mind as we go forward, okay, y'all? All right, if you have any questions, as always, please let me know.